What is good, YouTube? Welcome back to the channel. I'm Odd Talks and Gaming. Today, I'm actually bringing you a list that I played in the Rook's Table Speed Duel Showdown, hosted on Yu-Gi-Oh! Legacy's Discord. This was the deck I played in round one. I lost. Spoiler alert. But, I wanted to show you guys what I was playing, what my thought process was behind this deck, and, just how well it actually does perform. There's a couple of changes I want to talk about making after I'm done, giving the deck profiles, but it's nothing crazy. But this is my command lock, I should say. This is my command lock Shadow Reborn deck, and there's a couple of things I want to change and things I probably would do differently now that I've done it, or now that I've played it, tested it. By the way, my duels that I did in the showdown was the first time I ever tested this deck. I had no testing whatsoever. I literally made this deck probably half an hour before the event even started and was like, yeah, this seems like something I would do. I do that so much when I play speed duels. I'm just like, what's the best way to test? Tournament style. That's what I do or have done for the speed duel window boxes. I've only been in 2 of them, and both times I literally made the deck, I think, 10 minutes before I joined. And, or not 10 minutes, it was an hour or 2 before the tournament started, but I had no practice with them. And then I'm just like, man, why did I do bad? And then I'm like, oh yeah, I did bad because I have no practice whatsoever with this deck and literally just built it. Anyway, that's enough of me rambling. Let me just jump right into the deck profile. The skill we're playing is Shadow Reborn. If you don't know what this skill does, it says during your main phase, once per duel, pay half your life points, special summon one monster from either graveyard, but your opponent takes no damage this turn. It's a Monster Reborn-esque skill. It's really cool. I like it a lot. I like the fact that you can target your opponent's graveyard as well. Gives their stronger monsters out. I liked outing the XYZ Dragon Cannon when I play this card, and then, bringing out the Shadow Reborn with it. Now, the main deck is a little interesting. We're going to go with the Warriors first. So, we play 2 Zambira the Dark. Now, I chose Zambira, my bad, over the Knight, or is it Night Blader? Blade Knight. And the reason why I chose Zambira over Blade Knight is because Apprentice Magician's not in the game anymore. I felt like I was playing Blade Knight at the time more to out the Apprentice Magician, but the more that this format evolves into something, the more we realize hey, this deck doesn't actually play this card anymore, which is fine. Apprentice Magician loses to XYZ, I mean technically XY, and it's just that's just how it goes. Outside of that though, so I just chose to choose Zambira the Dark because he's a 2100 beater. He can smack into the XY fusion monster. Paired with Command Knight, he can climb over the spellproof birds. This is kind of the perfect card for the warrior matchup. He's also a Rhoda target while Gaia is not, so that's one of the biggest reasons why I wanted to play Zambira. Only downside is that he can't attack directly, and he loses 300 attack every time he destroys a monster. So yeah, he's cool. He's a 2100 beater for a turn, but after that he just gets weaker and weaker. So use him wisely, I guess. Actually, I can say that I don't really want to play this card anymore after playing the format, and I'll get more into explaining that after this. We played 2 Command Knight. This is exactly what I was about to start explaining. I want to take Zambira the Dark out for a Command Knight, and that's because the entire deck is Command Lock, and I was thinking in my head, I don't want to brick on Command Knights, and the reasoning that I want to play it at 3 is because I don't really care if I brick, actually. It's kind of what the deck is based around. I want to have multiple copies of it at all times, so having 3 is kind of, I was dumb for not playing this card at 3 and only playing it at 2. That was a big downfall on my part, because this is what my deck was based around, this is what my deck was supposed to do. You're literally Command Knight into Command Knight, right? You get your pieces off the reinforcements, and then if either of these parts die from the Book of Moon or whatever, you just Shadow Reborn it back. And it's now you got to get rid of Command Knight lock again. If you get all 3 to the field, it's an even harder board for them to break. So that was kind of the idea, was to not have 3 because I was going to break, but then while I was playing I was I need 3 because he outed it and I'm out of my other shot, or I've used my Shadow Reborn. So yeah, my opinion, play Command Knight at 3, take the Zambira out, put it to 3. So next is Exiled Force. I play this card at 2. You can play it at 3 if you want. Take the other Zambira out. If you don't, keep the other Zambira in. Exiled Force is a big MVP of this deck. You just, against the Spellproof Armor deck, which is running around, this card just auto kills that entire deck. Get rid of the Jinzos, get rid of the you know, the big birds, because this deck really can't climb either of those cards because of the monarchs that we're playing for this deck. And by the monarchs, I mean we play Freed, the Matchless General. And this deck is really an anti-spellproof deck. That's the whole point of this build. I'm like, right now, my least favorite deck in Speed Duels is spellproof. Like, I do not like that deck. I think it's too ignorant, and it's just not my favorite deck right now in Speed Duels. But Freed, the Matchless General says that 90% of the spell cards are using can't be used. This is like Soul Exchange, Shrink, Book of Moon. All of those cards can't be played to target Freed, the Matchless General. That's why we're playing them at 2. The reason why it says any spell effect that targets this card on the field when it resolves is negated. So it also says during draw phase, instead of conducting your normal draw, you can add a level 4 lower warrior monster from your deck to your hand. So he's like another, he's like another Rhoda. But I don't really use that second effect as often as I am relying on the first, and it's generally just for the spellproof. But I didn't play against spellproof in the in the showdown, so that kind of sucked for me. But oh well. The other monarch we play is Jinzo. Stop the trap cards. We play a decent amount of traps. I'm only playing it 1. You really just want to use it whenever you absolutely want to go for game. The other cards we play are Sphere Karibo. This card's insane, so we're playing it at 3. He's our hand trap of the deck, or battle hand trap, I should say. And he's really cool. And the reason why he's in here is so we can climb over spellproof cards without needing Command Knight. So, like, as I was saying earlier, Freed is like, they address Freed by crashing with their big bird, right? If you have Command Knight out, Freed's at 2700. But if you don't have Command Knight out, then he's literally like a walking target for the Jinzos and the big birds. And then, so they were going to try to attack your Freed. You use your Sphere Creepers here to protect them from battle, and then climb over them because they have low defense. I think it's like 1200 for Big Bird, 15 for Jinzo. Breaker's at 2 in this deck list. I was playing originally at 3 before I went to the tournament. Ultimately decided to cut it to 2 because I didn't want to play 23 cards. But yeah, he's at 2. Could play 3 if you wanted to. Yeah, you could take the other design Byra out and play it at 3. If you want to play 2 of the Exiled, 3 of the Command Knights, 3 of the Breaker. Next on our list is the triple reinforcements to the army. Get all of our pieces to our hand, especially our Command Knights. If we need the Byras there, and then the Exiled Force as well. Playing double Floodgate Trap Hole. This card's insane in this format. I would recommend playing it in every single deck right now, so definitely at 2. And lastly is Zone of the Spirit. This card shouldn't be in Speed Duels. That's my honest to God opinion. This card should not be here. The fact that it is here, it's crazy. But yeah, moving on to the side deck. The other thing I want to talk about is Zoma. So if you have Command Knight and it's the only monster on the field, they go attacking the Command Knight, you can flip Zoma to protect your Command Knight. And they're not, 9 times out of 10, they won't attack Zoma, the Spirit, unless they absolutely have to. So, yeah. Going into the side deck, we play 2 Cosmic Cyclones because Bug is still a thing, 2 Shrinks because we need to protect our Freed, and then 2 Lost Wind. That way, I don't know. Lost Wind's just cool, I guess. But yeah. But without further ado, oh yeah, by the way, these are, bluffs for the Waking. Without further ado, I'm going to jump right into the replay, and then, yeah, I'll see you guys in a second. Alright, going on into this replay here, it's, pretty cool. We're playing Hexy, and, in the Speed Duel Showdown. Everybody's watching at the time. I'm just sitting there, playing around, having some fun. And I thought it was really cool that we were the match that got shown on screen. But he goes ahead and summons the Beta the Magnet Warrior, and then adds the Delta off the skill. He then sets both of his traps, being the Widespread Ruin and the Metaverse. And then I go into my turn drawing for the Freed. I use the reinforcements here, and by using the reinforcements, I grab the Exiled Force. I should have grabbed the Command Knight because I had the one in hand, but I wasn't really thinking at the time. I used the Force here. That way I can get rid of the Beta the Magnet Warrior. I didn't go for the Breaker or the Command Knight set. I'm honestly not sure why I didn't go for a Command Knight set here, but I went for Exiled instead. Again, I want to let everybody know, this is literally my first duel with the deck after I built it. So, my thought process wasn't really the best. Metaverse comes out, and then what that does is that it actually gives him the Magnet Field. So I wasted my Exiled Force, essentially. He then uses the Magnet Field, uses the Delta the Magnet Warrior, sends another piece to the graveyard, and then proceeds to bring it back out. enters into battle, makes us lose the 1700 and then the 1600. Bring us down to 700 life points. We draw for turn, drawing into the Zoma, which is kind of like our big card of the game. We're going to use our Shadow Reborn here, bringing back the Exiled Force. And then I believe I use my Exiled Force here. Actually, no, I just go into the Breaker. Use the Breaker to pop the Magnetic Field. Use the Exiled Force to pop the Beta. I think I actually, yeah, that was fine. And then I set the Zoma the Spirit. That way he has to crash the Delta next turn, if anything. He draws into the Beta, which was unfortunate, and then attacks into the Breaker. And then attacks us directly for 1600. We have the Zoma set, so we're fine. So activating the Zoma, he takes the life points, obviously. And then we draw for turn. We set our Command Knight face down, and then we pass turn. The opponent draws into the Beta, attacks into the Command Knight, and then we reveal that we are playing Command Knight. We've drawn to the Floodgate Trap Hole, set the Floodgate Trap Hole, and then summons the Exiled Force, using its effect to destroy the Delta. Passing the turn off to the opponent. I'll call him the employee. And he just passes turn. It's also unfortunate that every time I destroy his targets, he draws it again. Like, why? I set the Zoma, and then I pass turn off to the opponent. Opponent gets the magnetic conversion, which I don't know why anybody plays that card. And then I summon Zoma to the field. I draw for turn, getting the other command. I go to the command lock and then pass turn off to the opponent. So the opponent has to attack into the Zoma at this point. I draw for turn, tribute off the Zoma, and then summon the Freed. I then attack the Beta the Magnet Warrior with the Freed. And then pass turn off to the opponent again. They draw into the magnetic field. I don't know why they didn't set the Metaverse last turn. I feel like that was a misplay on their part. I don't even know why they didn't activate the magnetic field there. And then I go into my main phase, and then I pass turn off to the opponent. He, at this point just ends the game, says he can't do anything. I was decking him out at this point. That's kind of what Command Lock does. That's why I play 42. That way we can, resource a little bit better. And then it can deck the opponent out until we can get into a good position. But against Magnet Warriors, if you really can't do that too much. So you have to really rely on decking out there. Going into game 2. Oh yeah, during the stream they were like, "Oh, is this all toxin?" Because they noticed that I made my little screen that, and it's like, yeah. And the reason I make my screen my logo and everything like that, it's self promotion for one. I think that's a very good idea that I don't think a lot of people do. It's self promote yourself as much as possible, and I live by that. I feel like if you're in any sort of business or any sort of doing anything in this world where you're creating content or trying to sell an item or a product, self-promotion is the best thing that you can do. So that's the number one reason. Also, number 2, my name is Dottish, and this is mentioned in the stream as well. So if you don't know who I am, you're going to think oh, this is just some random guy. So it's oh, it's Odd Toxin, so it's Toxin on Discord. So that's the other thing. But he summons the Beta, adds the Delta off the skill, and then sets the Book of Moon. And then I draw, and I have 2 reinforcements in hand. So this is obviously Command Lock. So I'm getting the Command Knight here. I'm not revealing that I have the other reinforcements in the army, just because I draw it next turn. I don't need it right now, So if I draw into the other Command Knight, I can get the Exiled Force. Opponent draws for turn, going into the Beta, sets the Gamma, and then proceeds to end turn because he knows what my set card is. I draw into the Sphere Kribo, use the reinforcements here, and get the other Command Knight. And then I think I just set it. Yeah, I set the Command Knight and pass turn off to the opponent who gets to the Metaverse. I draw for turn, grab the reinforcements, use the reinforcements here. And what this does is actually get my Exiled Force. And then summon Exiled Force, use its effect, and then I pop the Gamma of the Magnet Warrior. Knew what it was, so nothing special. Flip the Command Knight, and then I pass turn off to the opponent. He's going to use the Metaverse here, and he's going to actually be able to get the magnetic field, which is crazy for him because yeah, he uses the Delta, sends the Alpha to graveyard, and then uses the magnet field to get the Gamma back. He then flips my Command Knight face down, and then attacks into my Command Knight. So I use the Sphere Kribo here, and I use the Sphere Kribo here. In hindsight, what I could have done at this point, because he's going to attack into the, the Command Knight, is I could have kept the Command Knight and let myself be able to normal summon the next turn. But I wanted to Shadow Reborn and Tribute, I believe. So I Shadow Reborn out the Command Knight, or the Exiled Force, pay half my life points, tribute it for the Freed, and then I set the Cosmic Cyclone face down. Whenever I set the Cosmic Cyclone face down, he tributes my monster for Santa Claus, which I saw was like a cool little tech for Magna Warrior. I don't really see that often. And then he battles into my Command Knight, which is like fine, and says, but like it's not fine actually. A Command Knight can't be battled while I control other monsters. So he attacks into a Santa Claus with Magnetic Field. So I pay the 1,000 life points, and then I make it to where he loses life points in turn. Use Santa Claus at the end phase, allowing me to draw one card, and then I draw for turn. So Zombira, I end up drawing for hand. I turn the Command Knight to defense mode, and then I set the Cosmic Cyclone. At this point, yeah, I should go into battle and then attack the Delta the Magna Warrior, putting him down to 2,100. I wonder if, like, at this point it wouldn't matter. Without the thing there, I could have probably, because Command Knight could have been switched to kept in attack mode, I could have, like, at least got rid of the Gamma. Got a little less presence off the field for myself. But he switches both of his monsters to defense mode, sets one card face down, and sets the Metaverse. I draw for turn, drawing into the Lost Wind, set the Lost Wind, battle into the face down monster, and then the Metaverse is activated. I attack into the set monster again, returning the free to match its general to hand. And then he ends up setting and then aggroing into the Santa Claus, which is fine. Using the Magnetic Field, bringing back the Santa Claus to hand. I draw for turn, getting the Exiled Force. Here's where I mess up. Because I summon Exiled and I pop a card, right? I should have Zombira here. Actually, no, this is fine. This is a fine play. Because I want to get the beta off the field. I don't have anything else I can really do. I should have tributed the Freed, I think. Or, yeah, no, I'm fine. I think with everything I've done so far, it's fine. He summons the beta. My thought process here is I want him to tribute my Command Knight for the Santa Claus in hopes that he thinks that I have the, the Zoma. And so that was my big thought process here. Because if I have the Zoma, he can't do anything, I win the game. But, he sets the Metaverse and then enters the battle and just attacks. So the reason I was saying this is because if he had summoned the Santa Claus, summoned it to my field, and then attacked into his Santa Claus, I could have lost wind his monster when damage whatever it is, damage step, and that would have been enough life points to kill him. But instead, he didn't tribute it, and so I just went with my plan anyway. So it's 10,050. I lose my monster, and then my Cosmic Cyclone is my set card. Passing off, going on to game 3, which was like, it was unfortunate that it ended that way, but there was a ton of misplays. Again, this is my first time playing the deck, but I was having a lot of fun learning as I went. Opponent summons the Magna Warrior, adds the Magna Warrior, sets the spell, or reveals the 2 and adds the Valkyrion, which was like neat, I guess. I wouldn't want to draw it. Sets the book, and then it's my turn. I draw into the Command Knight. I set the Command Knight face down instead of going for the breaker play, and I don't really know if that's like what I want to do. Uses the Gamma, attacks the beta into the Command Knight, and then, take some damage. I draw for turn. Get into the breaker. I use the reinforcements here to grab the other Command Knight, and then I set the Command Knight to the field. I think here I should have breakered, but he switches both monsters face down. I summon the breaker. He ends up Book of Mooning the breaker, and then this is the first time I see Widespread all game. So he actually uses Widespread to get rid of my other Command Knight. I take 200 life points here because I'm an idiot. And then he summons Delta. Delta's effect activates, pitch in the beta. Sets 2, activates Magnet Field. Tries to attack into Command Knight, can't do it. So I add my sphere back to hand. Attacks into the breaker. I sphere Karibo. I sphere Karibo. And then turns passed off to me. I use the Shadow Reborn here. And then I special back the Command Knight. What I should have done here is actually summon Breaker and to pop the defense. That's what I should have done, but I didn't do it. Instead, I use Exiled Force and pop the Delta. So that was a big play on my part, because that would have forced the Book of Moon to activate on the Breaker, because if he didn't Breaker it, then oh, he had Santa Claus, my bad. Tributes it for Santa, and then uses the Magnet Field, attacks into the Santa, able to return it to hand. And then passes turn off to me. I get into the Lost Wind. I summon the Breaker, which gets booked. And then set the Lost Wind face down. He sets the Metaverse, attacks into the Breaker, attacks into the Command Knight, to which I Lost Wind it. He takes life point damage. Command Knight's added to hand, then he attacks me directly for 1700. I draw for turn. It's a Cosmic Cyclone. I have nothing at this point, so I just, set my cards, let him attack into it, And then, yeah, he wins the game. But yeah, it was really fun. Really close games all 3 times, I feel like. Magna Warrior is such like a threat in this format right now. It's such a cool deck. I like it a lot. And like I said, if I had more like practice with this deck, I feel like I could have performed a lot better. Could have deck built a lot better. Like, I don't even know if I should have been playing Zombiras at this point. Like, I honestly have no clue. But it's going to take some practice, some getting used to. But I did want to showcase it with you all. That way you all can like deck build yourself, figure out what you like about this deck. I think it's very strong and can be very competitive in this format, especially like Command Lock being as cool as it is. XYZ kind of like shuts that part down of the deck, but that's why we like side deck the Lost Winds for the XYZ. That's why we main deck the Floodgates. Like, that's kind of the entire point, you know what I mean? But yeah, if you guys like this kind of content, make sure you leave a like. If you like me, make sure you subscribe. And above all, I also want you all to stay awesome. I'll see you guys next time. Bye-bye.